Hola guys and girls, and welcome to a new part of the Pincer Mania, which is basically a debate round between three fine people here experiencing some kind of league format and debating some mons in various topics right here. And this time we of course got once again three glorious people here to join me over these topics, and let me introduce them real quick. First up we got from the UCL, from the GBA, you know him as the coach from the New York Metapods, the Shiny King, aDrive, aka Dan. Say hello to the people.
Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Dan, aka aDrive. I'm excited to do a little debate action here for some of these competitive mons. Thanks for having me, Lars.
Thanks for being here. Next up, we got from the some appearances in the PPL in the GBA D League, coach of the FC Volcarona, FranCTrode.
Hey, what's good, people? Glad to be here, Lars. Glad to be here.
Yeah, glad to have all of you here. And last but definitely not the least, coach of the Thunderbolton Wanderers in the PPL as well, PaullyMac.
Welcome, everyone. My name is PaullyMac, and it is good to be here. Thank you for having me, Lars. I'm excited to be able to debate a little bit and put my knowledge up against these two good players.
Yeah, we all know you already that you can battle. Now we will find out how you can debate as well over your knowledge in the league format. And yeah, let's hop right into the first topic, which is none other than that. What is the best bug type in league format? And if we are talking bug types, there's of course only one guy we will start right here. So Dan, what is your bug type of choice in this topic?
So for me, I gotta go with Mega Pincer. Mega Pincer is, in my opinion, the best bug type in league format.
Okay.
Do you want me to keep going?
Yeah,
Do you want me to expand on that?
Start. Like, why Mega Pincer? What is good about Mega Pincer and all this good stuff?
So Mega Pincer is just a juggernaut from an offensive perspective. It's got great offensive typing, and its aerial ability really boosts those normal type moves. It's got priority stab really with quick attack. It's got an opportunity to set up with sword stance. It's got the ability to set up substitutes and do that reliably. One of the things that a lot of bug types kind of struggle with is being sent in and taking a lot of damage from Stealth Rock, which Mega Pincer does have a downfall as, but prior to Mega Evolution does only take 25% Stealth Rocks, which is absolutely wonderful. And that priority quick attack is, I think, what really sets it apart from the other bug type Pokemon. Be able to hit really hard. We've seen time and time again in the league format how effective flying type stab can be. Brave Bird spam is definitely a thing, and I think Mega Pincer kind of captures that in a different way and hits incredibly hard with that base 155 attack stat after Mega Evolution. It just can wreck through teams, and without proper checks, I mean, you really need to have, two Pokemon, at least maybe three, dedicated to just checking this thing when you battle it, because otherwise it'll just rip through your team after one sword stance. Having the chance to use Earthquake in close combat and return, and even Facade, you can really prepare with Facade to take burns if you're expecting Will-O-Wisp. There's just a lot of opportunities, and it can be such an effective wall breaker just because of how hard it hits, and it can be a cleaner too just because of its 105 base speed is really, really nice, especially in league format. And again, I can't emphasize enough the importance of having that priority quick attack.
There we go, Mega Pincer, the huge offensive threat in the league format. Now, next up, Paul, what was your bug type of choice?
My bug type of choice was Scolipede. Now, Scolipede, while not hitting as hard as Mega Pincer and some of the other bug types, it does a lot of different things. Has that base 100 attack stats was good enough with 112 speed, but the big thing that sets Scolipede apart is the speed boost baton pass set with other stats. So good that it was banned in the OU tier for being too good. You also have a lot of other things you can do with it. You can set up spikes and T-spikes. You can have a lead Sash set, get up some hazards, and then get brought down to Sash, Endeavor something, and you'll pretty much guaranteed out speed because you're going to have that +1 speed because of the speed boost. You can baton pass, as I already said, baton pass, a sword stance, and a baton speed boost into something, and you pretty much could just win with a mon if you get that proper switch. You could also go and set up iron defenses and pass at me. You could pass into something disgusting like a Mega Sableye or a Cresselia. Something really, really fat. I know I probably just made some people throw up a little bit in their mouths from hearing that, but this thing just hits very hard as well. You can run it adamant and not have to worry about knocking out outspeeding things, especially if you get that first speed boost or even that second speed boost. You're outspeeding everything anyway, so you can run adamant, run that life orb. You get covered moves like Aqua Tail, like Earthquake to hit those steel types that would wall otherwise because of the dual stab being bugged, and poison. So Mega Horn hits very, very hard, base 120 stab. Poison Jab is just a very hard just hitting move, and you get that 30% chance to poison as well. It's also a Pursuit Trapper if you are afraid of staying in with something, you're afraid you're going to lose your Mon to Scolipede, you expect him to protect or something, and you want to take advantage of it, you can get Pursuit Trapped out of nowhere too. And that's something you don't see too often, but when it does get run, it can really throw something off, especially if it's those Psychic types that don't want to stay in on a Mega Horn. So I think Scolipede is the best Mon, Bug-type Mon in draft format, is a great Mon that can put in a lot of work.
There we go, Scolipede, the speedy, versatile bug type. And last, but yeah, once again, definitely not least, Frank, what was your bug type?
Alright, so the Mon I've chosen is Mega Scizor, and the fact that I've chosen this Mon is because I think it's definitely not a one-trick pony. It definitely can do a bunch of roles in the team. Her versatility is pretty much incredible, and the good thing about it is that it really can do all these roles well. Like, you can have it as a defensive pivot or a defogger or just a cleaner late game with Swords Dance in the priority. His stats are all around very good, and most people can say, wow, it's kind of very weak to fire, and people can put HP fire, but we all know that Mega Scizor, with the appropriate bulk, it can take HP fires for days. So in the end, versatility is what makes this Mon excellently great, and basically all the stats are good all around, and you can basically prepare and use it, you know, depending on what the opponent's bringing, and have a different role, and it definitely will succeed on that role, definitely.
There we go, Mega Scizor, the bulkiest of the three bug types right here. And now going into the second part of this topic, Dan, Mega Pincer, why is it actually better than Scolipede and Mega Scizor?
So Mega Pincer really stands out above those because I feel like it's so, like, Scizor has priority, yes, but I personally feel that flying priority is something that you don't really see too much, especially now. Like, the only exception would really be Talonflame that I can think of. Whereas Steel priority, we see a couple different Pokemon that can function that way. And I just feel that the flying priority does tend to rip through teams a little bit better. I think that base speed stat is really, really useful as well. Hitting 105 base speed means you don't have to rely on priority, whereas something like a Mega Scizor might rely a little bit more on that bullet punch. So you can hit a lot harder with your return or your close combat or your earthquakes, and be able to, you know, kind of sweep teams, especially when you're dealing with faster teams, and use the quick attack priority to kind of pick things off that are faster than you. And so that's why I feel that Pincer would be better than Scizor in that case. In terms of Scolipede, Scolipede is a very good Pokemon. There's no doubt about it. But the thing that Scolipede really, really lacks is it doesn't really have any priority at all. First of all, and really, it does have a lot of different roles, and I agree with its versatility and being able to run like baton pass and stuff like that. But I just feel that with Pincer's ability to rip through teams, and it's just brute offensive strength, it's really hard to compare to that. And really, one of the main reasons I did choose Mega Pincer is just looking back at historical data from previous competitive leagues. You can see just how much Pincer has dominated. So it's not just good on paper, not to say that the other two are only good on paper, but Pincer has shown itself in the league format many, many times as being one of the top kill leaders or the top kill leader in the league almost every time. It's just unreal how consistent this thing has proven itself to be league after league, season after season. You send it in mid to late game and you click Swords Dance and that game is over. It is very hard to counter, whereas something like Scolipede I think is a little easier to check because, you know, it's a little easier to deal with Bug and Poison Stab, in my opinion, as opposed to dealing with Flying Stab. And same with Scizor. I mean, obviously Scizor's a great Fairy Killer, but while I can take HP Fires, you know, appropriately timed HP Fire will definitely take it out. And I just really feel that the brute force of Mega Pincer combined with that great 105 base speed stat, its ability to set up, and just that Flying Stab is so key because we've seen time and time again, Brave Bird spam, Flying Stab is just one of those like secret formula pieces to the league format that really always seems to shine and really rip teams apart because it just so happens that a lot of the time when you draft, you just don't draft the proper counters to take on that flying type stab. So I really do feel that Mega Pincer is the top tier bug type in the league format, and I definitely think it outshines Scolipede and Mega Scizor.
Okay, Mega Pincer Flying Stab is just too strong. Paul, what does Scolipede have to combat that and Mega Scizor?
Well, first of all, the big thing that Scolipede doesn't have that the other two have are 4 times weaknesses. You can go and slap on a hidden power on it, as well as just having Rocks Up can wear down Mega Pincer very quickly. It makes it hard to use it in a wall-breaking role. I've used Mega Pincer. Sometimes it can be really annoying to have it in that wall-breaking role, and you kind of limit it to that late game cleaner. Scolipede can be that late game cleaner, yes. It's very, very good at. You set up a Swords Dance, you get that speed boost, and it could be game. If your opponent's Scarfer's down, or if their Scarfer is slower than Scolipede, it could be game right there. You've got a +2 Life Orb Scolipede staring you down, and it outspeeds your entire team, and you just cry a little bit. Mega Scizor does have that priority Bullet Punch. Mega Pincer has that priority Quick Attack. Scolipede does not have that priority, but a lot of times it doesn't need that priority because a lot of other priority doesn't hit Scolipede hard enough outside of maybe Mega Pincer's Quick Attack and Brave Bird at full health Talonflame nowadays. But a lot of times priority isn't enough to Scolipede. Scolipede has a base 89 defense stat. It can take a most priority hits. The only big special priority I can think of off the top of my head is Vacuum Wave and 4-time resistance. So it goes and takes most priority. It can go and deal with most other Scarfers because you don't usually see Scarfers faster than base 112. If you do, it's generally for Scolipede. But if you run Protect, you can go and get that second speed boost, and it doesn't matter anyway because now you're faster than the other Scarfer. It just hits very, very hard. It can be that late game cleaner. And I've already mentioned it could also baton pass as well to your other Mons. So you could be terrified of getting swept by Scolipede, and then also you get swept by a Mamoswine who's now +2 speed, or a +1 speed and +2 attack or something like that, or some other big physical threat. So Scolipede goes and creates that feeling of, I can't let him set up, I can't let him baton pass, but if I attack him and he protects and I don't set up myself or do something myself to deal with it, I lose. It really creates that uncertainty. It's that if I click the wrong move, I lose this thing formula that really, really brings Scolipede to the top in my mind.
Okay, Scolipede, which forces you to get in some very dire 50-50s. Now, Frank, Mega Scizor, what sets it apart from the other two?
Alright, well, before beginning, I have to say that this is very difficult because I really like Mega Pincer and Scolipede as well. But I do think Mega Scizor it's just good for team building, and you always have the chance to bring the best set as you can against your opponent. Because yes, Mega Pincer is brutal, but you heavily have to build around it. You have to have a spinner or defogger, and they're not always that good in League. You don't always have the chance to get those. Again, Scizor late game, you can set up easily on most mons, except that if they're very powerful HP fires, which is not something that happens usually, or you would not set up with Scizor on fire type, so we can all agree with that. And basically, I just think that he can be a defogger if you need it. He can be a late game cleaner if you need it. He can be anything you want. Pivots as well if you need it, except for special attacker, of course. But I'd say, and even baton pass. We were talking about Scolipede being a great baton passer because it passes speed, and it's true. But Scizor being able to kind of reliably just pass SDs, it can also do that. And of course, recovery, things that Mega Pincer and Scolipede also lack. So it's very easy. Well, it's not easy for Pincer if there's rocks, for example, to set up a Swords Dance if you can't get rid of them. Thing that Mega Scizor doesn't have a problem with. And it is true that Mega Pincer, for example, is very powerful, and stats said so, but it's really relying on only just one role. And I think Mega Scizor giving you all these different options every match, it's something to take into account, I'd say.
Okay, there we go. Mega Scizor, the mon with the many options to use in the match. Now going into the last part. What are the last words about your mon, or any other mon? Your last chance basically to defend your pick in this round. And yeah, we start with Dan once again. Mega Pincer, let's go.
Yeah, if I'm just gonna sum up Mega Pincer, it really comes down to historical data, looking at what's been done in the past, looking at the fact that Mega Pincer has consistently shown itself to be an absolute dominant force in the League format, and under no circumstances is drafting Mega Pincer a bad idea. I do understand about it having a little bit of a crutch and needing a little bit of support. But, realistically, you're only taking 25% when you first send it in. That 105 base speed really allows it to stand out over a lot of other Pokemon that might otherwise fit this role. And that brutal 155 attack stat is just insane, paired with Swords Dance, Quick Attack for that priority, and then those 2 or 3 hard-hitting moves with Return, Close Combat, Earthquake. And I didn't even really mention Knockoff as well as just another option. So there's just from a brute force perspective, yes, Mega Pincer is not very versatile, but this thing just hits incredibly hard. And again, we've seen time and time again, it ripped through teams and end up at the top of the kill leaderboards at the end of the season.
Okay, let's go with Scolipede and Paul. What are your last words on this topic?
While yes, Mega Pincer does just hit like that nuke, it's just that nuke button that can be so great. Scolipede can do things. It can go and be a hazard setter. It is an attacker. It is a sweeper. It is a baton passer that can help something else sweep. It can just be an annoyance to a team. It can be able to just take a Mon down with it because of Endeavor. It's just a great Mon overall with lots of different options that it can run. And as I've already mentioned, no 4x weakness. I know how much people hate 4x weaknesses in draft format because hidden powers are a thing always in draft format. So I love Scolipede. I've been beaten by it in draft games myself. I've beaten teams with Scolipede in draft games, Clash of the Drafts, hello. But it's just an overall great Mon, and I absolutely love using myself, and it's just, in my mind, the best bug in draft format.
Okay, and let's go with FranC and Mega Scizor. Let's hear your
the last thoughts I'd say, well, pretty much repeating myself again, just versatility. Anything you need, defogger, setup, sweeper, late game cleaner, baton passer, great recovery, steel typing in is great. And looking forward to the Gen 7 metagame, I'd say this thing is not that reliant in the dark side, dark attack department, only relying on knockoff. Now it gets brutal swing, which is technician boosted as well, which again makes Scizor very powerful again. And again, I'm just looking at the moveset a little bit. It also has access to very nice support moves, and support is always nice and a good way to help any team you want to build or any gimmick you want to build, because this thing also has what was it called? Tailwind. God damn it, English is hard. But yeah, basically versatility. Anything you need Scizor to do, it will probably do it quite well depending on the match you are facing.
Okay, there we go. These were the three topics and all the arguments made. Mega Pincer, Scolipede, and Mega Scizor. Now it's up to me to decide who will be the winner of this round, and it's quite difficult. All these three bug types are of course great. You all know that out there, but yeah, who actually made the best points? Dan did very well go on the fact Mega Pincer is just... It's a great sweeper. It's not only on paper, it's proven time to time again how strong Mega Pincer is in that cleanup department, just racking up kills left and right in basically each match. Then you got Scolipede with which gained the popularity in a rather new in League format with all its options, be it baton passing, be it setting up hazards, be it sweeping itself. And of course Mega Scizor is a big threat in OE with its bulk, being able to set up on so many things, and same of course in League format, even with that 4x weakness. With its reliable bulk and recovery, it can't even set up on those. Sometimes if it's a defensive mon using HP Fire of course. But yeah, making this round. I agree that Scolipede's versatility stands above the versatility of the other two mons. Mega Pincer, of course, only does one thing, but he's basically the best at doing that. I know no other mon which can basically sweep better than Mega Pincer. Because Talonflame, of course, has a kind of the same role with Brave Bird spam and all this good stuff, but can do some other things. But Mega Pincer is just straight power. Then we got Mega Scizor, which is just way too bulky. And of course, it got the mascot factor on my side, so that's a plus already. So, giving this point, I gotta say I want to give this point to Scolipede and Paul. I think he made the best points on Scolipede that it can do. The same thing Pincer does with the late game cleanup. It needs some more help than Mega Pincer, but with the baton pass shenanigans you can actually pull off, which are not banned in all leagues. So yeah, this first round I gotta give the point to Scolipede and Paul. Boom.
Hey!
Wow.
Nice.
There we go. First point for Paul, but nothing is lost yet, of course, because we got still 2 more rounds to go. So each of those other guys, FranC and Dan, can still tie up or even get ahead of Paul by winning the next 2 rounds. So let's start with that right away. Topic 2 will be, what is the best mon with the ability Inner Focus? And we just started with Dan, so let's start with Paul now. The winner of last rounds, what is your best mon with Inner Focus?
Alright, to me, the best mon with Inner Focus is gotta be Lucario. Lucario is such a good mon. I believe it was my good buddy Shadi that said it best when he said that when Lucario comes, it is your win condition every week. And that's the truth. With Lucario, it can go and just win you games no matter what offensive set you bring. You can run Swords Dance and Nasty Plot. You go and you have those big, powerful stabs in close combat. You got the special side, you got Flash Cannon, Aura Sphere, and you got good attack stats to support both 110 attack and 115 special attack and 90 speed. And the biggest thing about it, too, is that it has those 3 different forms of priority: Bullet Punch, Vacuum Wave, and Extreme Speed. So it has both stabs, one on each side of the spectrum, and you also have Extreme Speed, which is just the best priority in the game. Base 80 prioritizes every other priority. So it's just an absolute nuke as well. You can run it banded, you can run it scarf, and it hits very, very hard. It gets tons of coverage to support it. You get things like Psychic, like Dark Pulse. You can even run Dragon Pulse if you want that unstabbed Dragon coverage, maybe something to deal with something such as like a Kingdra or something else that you just need coverage to hit. You can even run Final Gambit if you want to be that guy, which most people wouldn't, but why not, you know? It gets Ice Punch, it gets things like Poison Jab as well for fairies if you don't want to have to rely on Iron Tail, because it doesn't get Iron Head, which is a bit unfortunate, but it also uses Inner Focus well. The main thing you'd want to deal with is a Mega Lopunny, and I've run Inner Focus on Lucario to deal with the Mega Lopunny before, and that's what most people would want Inner Focus to deal with in general. And it goes and has that fighting priority to deal with it as well. You can run Inner Focus Scarf and go and outspeed it if it doesn't fake out and all that stuff. Lucario is just a great mon in general, and as I mentioned, it can be your win condition every single week, every time it comes. And it's just a great mon in general.
There we go, Lucario, your win condition in basically every game. Let's hear FranC next. What is your mon with the ability Inner Focus?
My mon with the ability Inner Focus is gotta be Crobat. And Crobat, I think, is one of the best defoggers in League format, and it's always reliable. That speed, 130 speed, it's such a useful defogging Pokemon, and it's just honestly great. It just gives you momentum. Always is the definition of one of the best support mons, in my opinion, of course. The typing is excellent. You have quad resistances to a lot of moves, and it's always a good reliable switch to grass types, bug types, fighting types, and it has decent bulk. It does seem frail, but actually it does have very nice bulk, so you know this is going to be taking hits and have priority, well, not priority, but very fast boosts with that speed. So it's all around a fantastic mon. It always does well what it has to do, and you can even bring a Nasty Plot set, having a poison, fire, or flying, or grass coverage. Not that many teams can take those if you can surprise them with the Nasty Plot set. So all around, I think Crobat, that speed and that usefulness that it has, it just makes it one of the best Pokemons with Inner Focus. And of course, a great Mega Lopunny killer with, if you can take the fake out and Inner Focus, and then you can Brave Bird it right after. Such a good feeling.
I've done that before. It was great.
It's great. It's great. So that's my point with Crobat, basically.
There we go with Crobat, the fast defogger of the League format. And last but definitely not least, Dan, what is your mon of choice?
Alright, so my Pokemon of choice is Mega Gallade, and I want to throw this out there. It is the only one of the 3 Pokemon chosen that actually uses Inner Focus most of the time. Crobat typically will use Infiltrator, and Lucario is going to use, Justified. So I'm just going to throw that out there. But Mega Gallade is actually quite impressive when you look at its, first of all, its stats. 110 base speed is phenomenal, especially in the League format. You're going to be outpacing pretty much everything except for Scarfers. Most teams usually only carry 1 or 2 Pokemon if they're lucky above that speed tier. So that alone makes Gallade stand out really, really nicely. But its special defense stat is great. Its defense stat is great. Its attack stat is 165. That is unreal, man. This thing hits incredibly hard. But let's talk about the versatility about Mega Gallade, because I think that's really what makes it shine. The fact that it can be run defensive with things like Will-O-Wisp. You can run it support with Thunder Wave. It gets moves like Drain Punch to allow it to kind of have some more longevity in a match. It does get priority through Shadow Sneak. It has the opportunity to set up with Sword Stance. It can run things like Destiny Bond and Memento and Wish for team support. And I know some of this stuff is a little bit out there, but in the League format, we've seen some pretty crazy things work. So having as many tools at your dispense is always going to be a benefit. And I almost look at Gallade as being kind of a Swiss Army knife in this way, and the fact that it could just do so many different things. Its move pool is so versatile from an offensive perspective, from Zen Headbutt to Psycho Cut to cover that, Earthquake to Drain Punch to Close Combat to hit those stabs, of course. You've got the whole spectrum, man. This thing really just runs the gauntlet in terms of its offensive move pool, and as well, it really benefits from being part of the Gardevoir line as well and getting just a great kind of support move pool to go along with that. So while Inner Focus may not be the best ability in the world, this thing really does take advantage of having just such versatility as we saw with Scolipede in the last round. And I just think that Mega Gallade really stands out above the rest in just the fact that it can do so many different things, hit so incredibly hard with that attack stat, be able to set up and has priority. It really covers everything.
Okay, there we go. The Swiss Army knife, which is Mega Gallade. Next up, Paul. Why is Lucario the Fox better than the other two?
Lucario is better because it just does a lot of different things offensively that just does better than the others. Now, Dan did mention that Mega Gallade's the only one that always runs Inner Focus. That's because it doesn't really have a choice. The thing is with Lucario, is you won't see Inner Focus coming because you might go, oh, it might have Justify and all that stuff, and then it has Inner Focus. It can go and have that versatility of running multiple abilities. Inner Focus just happens to be one of them. It also gets a move in Magnet Rise. Now, some of you might think, oh, why Magnet Rise? Why does that matter? It could actually be really huge in dealing with certain threats, such as Excadrill. Excadrill could be a massive threat, and you could Magnet Rise right in front of the Excadrill, all of a sudden you're immune to a stab, and oh, now an Excadrill, all Mons, is setup fodder, unless, of course, you carry Brick Breaker, like if you're smart, like Lars. It gets setup moves on both sides, and it gets all the important setup moves. It gets Bulk Up, Calm Mind, Nasty Plot, and Swords Dance. You can run Bulk Up with Drain Punch if you want to be that guy. It's actually a really interesting set that I've looked into myself. Calm Mind is really, really cool with that massive special coverage. You can go and force a switch. You set up a Calm Mind, and all of a sudden your opponent has nothing to switch in or deal with a +1 Lucario, and you don't have enough to actually be able to take it out because it actually has some bulk now on the special side. It gets lots of different coverage that I've already mentioned. It gets extreme speed for that amazing priority. It gets Earthquake for, if you want to run Earthquake. And it just is such a good mon. It can actually phase 2 with Roar, which is really, really cool. It gets Home Claws too if you want to run High Jump Kick instead of Close Combat because you don't want the defense drops and you don't want to miss High Jump Kicks because High Jump Kick made your life sad. It's a great mon overall. It's so good, and as I've already mentioned, it could be your win condition every week, whether it's Banded, Specs, Scarf, Life Orb with setup, or just Life Orb 4 attacks, is your win condition every week. And it's 4 times resist rocks as well. You have Crobat on the other side. Yes, Crobat's a defogger, but Crobat's also weak to rocks, so if you're going to defog, you have to take the rock switch every time. Now, I'm not saying Lucario is a defogger. It's obviously not a defogger, but it's really, really nice to have that 4 times resistance to rock as well. So I think Lucario is just a great mon, one of the best offensive threats in draft format, no matter where you look. And I just think it's the best Inner Focus mon in draft format.
There we go, Lucario. Next up, Crobat. Why is it better than Gallade or Lucario?
Well, as PaullyMac says, with Gallade, the ability is the only ability it can use as well. So Crobat also has very nice versatility with Infiltrator, which it's useful because you can set up, you can just hit opposing Pokemons through subs or toxic them and all sorts of shenanigans like that. And I honestly think Crobat is one of the best mons at what it does. Yes, there's probably a few defoggers that's better than Crobat, but everyone that has used Crobat in League format that I know is normally quite happy with the performance in most matches that this mon has. And defog is not only the thing you can do, Banded Crobat is always a threat. It has fairly nice coverage in the special side. Reliable recovery, as always. Thing that's very appreciated in League format. And it also is a very nice stall. It stops stall right on its tracks. You have Taunt, you have Haze for setup mons, and you have of course as well the Super Fang move that's very useful, and it really helps you with Taunt to get rid of walls quite easily if you have an attacking move to support it with. So basically I just think, yes, maybe it's not the most offensive mon, although it could be useful in the offensive side of the department with a Band or Nasty Plot set, but I just think it does it's one of the best defoggers, and I think that's what makes these Inner Focus mons so good. Just a good Pokemon. It's just and great typing, of course. I love it. I'm in love with Crobat.
There we go.
I feel like we just had like a little meeting.
The love interest of FranC being Crobat.
Oh yeah.
Fan art.
Next up,
No,
let's...
please.
Oh,
No.
okay. I appreciate... Okay, if you got fan art out there, link up to this channel. We will make sure it will get spread around the world. Frank and
My Twitter, my
OTP.
Twitter's already messed up.
But okay, next up, Mega Galate beat the Swiss Knife. Why is it better than Lucario or Crobat?
Oh man, I think I covered a lot of it before, but just again, I can't emphasize the versatility enough. And I didn't even bring up some other moves against, Leaf Blade. You got that. You got the opportunity to set up with Bulk Up, and again, Swords Dances. So it can do so many different things. It's just such a versatile Pokemon, and we all know how important that is in the Draft League format. Being able to really cover a lot of different roles gets you the most out of that pick, and this thing does just that. It's really only got a few weaknesses to, Fairy, Flying, and Ghost. Fairy it can mitigate with Poison Jab, which is really, really nice to have that opportunity. You've got Flying types, you can take those down with Stone Edge, which is nice, and the Ghost types are going to have to deal with the fact that you have priority Shadow Sneak and kind of another decent assortment of other moves. So just looking at the big picture and looking at what Mega Galate can really do, there's just so many different things. And I think we saw Cooper really utilize it effectively in the most previous season of the GBA, bringing it to, I believe, the championship. This thing is just such a good Pokemon with all the things it can do, and I can't harp on enough how impactful that can be, being able to just cover everything. Pain Split, to Drain Punch, to just every potential almost coverage move you could worry about for the team. You could really customize this thing when you're dealing, with 11 or 12 Pokemon that you're going to be facing every week. Galade can really be a Pokemon that's brought every single time. And again, another thing that I really want to point out that I think allows it to kind of stand above Lucario is the fact that it does have that better speed stat. That 110 speed is really going to allow it to kind of stand up above Lucario with the higher attack stat. And while I do think Crobat's a great mon, and it's one of my personal favorites, I just think that Galade's versatility really outshines there too, being able to be a taunter too, and a relatively fast one. Base 110 speed is nothing to laugh at, so being able to be that fast and really provide so much team support, being able to be an offensive sweeper with that huge attack stat and Swords Dance, or, kind of taking more of a bulky role with Bulk Up and Will-O-Wisp and kind of more of a support role, just allows Mega Galade to, in my opinion, be the best Inner Focus user that actually uses Inner Focus. And yes, it's by default, but it's still an important thing to note.
Okay, there we go. Now going to the last part of this round, your last thoughts on Lucario. Paul, let's go.
Lucario just an absolute beast. It's an absolute nuke. It just destroys things on both sides. It's really hard to prep for because it does hit on both sides. I've already mentioned 115 special attack, 110 attack. You can go and send in your physical defensive wall, and then all of a sudden you take a massive amount from a flash can. You go, oh, I've messed up now. This is bad, because now you're in a position where you don't have a good switch into it. It also gets Justified as another ability, something I didn't mention yet. Justified is an ability. Yes, Galade gets it before Mega Evolves, but Galade doesn't resist Dark type like Lucario does. So Lucario, you can go and switch into a Dark type attack, resist the hit. Now it might be knockoff and you might lose your item, and that is unfortunate, but you might take a Dark Pulse or a Foul Play or something of the sort. You go and chew that hit, and then you go and you get a +1 attack boost, and now you know you've messed up because you're giving Lucario, a mon with good attack stat, with great priority and fantastic coverage, a +1 attack, and that's something that's just absolutely terrifying and makes you afraid to hit that Dark type move, which Dark type can be one of the best coverage moves, best typings you have offensively in draft format. You generally want some knockoff users and some someone that uses Dark Stab like a Hydreigon or something like that that can just just nuke with that Dark Stab. Lucario can switch into that, take it, and then you regret it because now it has an attack boost. It goes and uses Inner Focus where it should. It uses it for Mega Lopunny. You can use it if you wanna not worry about using Justified. Your opponent doesn't have a Dark type. You can go and avoid the flinches from maybe like a Togekiss, because Togekiss can be annoying that way, or a Jirachi if a person's determined to win a game by flinching you with Jirachi even though it gets moves to hit Lucario better. I don't know. It just uses it well, and it has so many options on setup and just nuking. So that's why I think Lucario is just one of the best mons in draft format in general, let alone an Inner Focus mon.
There we go. Now going on with Crobat, Frank. Why do you love it so much?
As I said before, it's the master of usefulness that any team can have. Pretty much, it does well what it has to do well, and it reliably does it thanks to that speed. Most of times you don't have to even invest on that much speed on this mon, so you can invest on bulk or attack depending on what you want to do. Because with that speed, you basically will outspeed most of mons on the opposing teams, and the only thing you have to worry about is Scarfers, where thing that should be covered by the rest of mons on your team. So basically, this is of course a support mon. and it just does well. It just does so well what it does. I can't emphasize it enough what it does. And in the end, as a momentum provider as well, it's also nice. It's a pivot. It does pretty much everything, and it does it well. I'd say though, looking for the future as well, I want to say that it gets lead seed as well. I don't know if that would be good or not, but at least it's pretty cool. And I don't know, very useful Pokemon. What can I say? It does best a bunch of roles, and that's basically what I like a lot in League format.
Okay, just to reiterate again, I don't think you meant Leech Seed, I think you meant Leech Life. The boosted.
Oh yeah. Well, I wish Leech Seed. Yeah, sorry. Love.
Just to make sure people don't try to lose Leech Seed Crobat, that's not a thing. But Leech Life for the boost, which is very nice.
Leech Life, yes. Oops.
Time to delete this team on Showdown.
Okay, this is Crobat, now the last chance to defend Gagalade or to bash the other two mons. Dan, let's hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, just going back to Mega Galade, it actually used Inner Focus. I think that's such a key point, if I'm being honest. But, you know, I think Mega Galade kind of fits in the perfect balance between Crobat and Lucario in some ways. Obviously, it can't defog like Crobat, but it does have that same, actually better offensive prowess, at least from the physical side, than Lucario is going to have. It does have priority in Shadow Sneak, and it just has far more versatility to allow it to be more of a support Pokemon, which Lucario really lacks. I mean, Lucario does have some kind of tech moves that it can use, but when you look down at Galade's move pool, there's no competition here. Galade really does have the deepest move pool that allows it to kind of take advantage of that stat total most effectively. That 110 base speed is really, really important, and it really outshines Lucario, which doesn't have nearly that. Lucario's at 90 base speed, which is significantly different when it comes in the League format. And when you're looking at their attack stats and their bulk, again, Galade really stands above Lucario in those fields as well. You know, it does obviously get outsped by Crobat, but that's often mitigated by being able to use things like Thunder Wave and being able to, you know, burn things with Will-O-Wisp. And you can also taunt again to bring that up. And again, just from an offensive perspective, you know, I talked a lot about the support, but just the depth of this thing's move pool, everything from Drain Punch to Close Combat, Leaf Blade, Earthquake, Stone Edge, Poison Jab. I mean, it really just, it's really insane with this thing's move pool. Like, it's absolutely nuts. And it does have priority with Shadow Sneak, which I think is a really nice note, something to note, which Crobat does not have any priority aside from Quick Attack, which I wouldn't recommend that. But yeah, I just really feel that the Galade just has such a deep move pool, and that's what we look for in the League format, is versatility in general, being able to cover a lot of different things, and being able to tailor this Pokemon to your opponent's team, and I think Mega Galade can do that perfectly every single week.
Okay, there we go. These are all the three mons, Mega Galade, Lucario, and Crobat, and once again, I am here to decide who will win this round. Lucario, by far the most offensive one of the three. Can set up on both sides and basically sweep the opponent's team if you prepared correctly. Crobat, of course, Crobat is the bad full of shenanigans, be it defogging, be it taunting, be it roosting, super fang, infiltrator toxic. Crobat has a lot of versatility to it. Very reliable defogger, if not the most reliable because of the speed. You will always outspeed defog. Maybe it dies in process, but you will get rid of the hazards. And as last, we have Mega Galade, which Dan, I think, made a very good point. It's kind of like the mixture of Lucario and Crobat. It can do quite the shenanigans Crobat can do, not quite the offense Lucario has, but it has the thing from both, giving it basically the most versatility out of all of these three mons. So, now seeing to decide who will win this round. First of all, the use of Inner Focus is not really needed. Mega Galade, yes, it uses Inner Focus actually. It doesn't have a choice on that, but it uses it. It uses it very well. But even with that point made, I want to give this round indeed to Dan and Mega Galade. Like you can see here from both of these two rounds is I'm a big fan of versatility in League format, and since I'm the judge right here, I'm sorry, Shadi, I don't give this point to Lucario. I will give this point to Mega Galade with its Inner Focus.
I mean,
sorry, Shadi, I tried.
you just can't say you agree with Shadi in the end, right?
No, I can't. Like that's I'm sorry, Paul. You can't just pick what Shadi would have picked. So and expect to win at my show.
Oh, dang it.
But okay, that is the second round. We got 1 point for Dan, 1 point for Paul, and Frank looking at 0 points right now. But nothing is lost yet for Frank. We can go to an overall tie if he should win this round and go into the speed round, or we will have the winner between Dan and Paul for this Pincer Mania. So let's hop that right away. And like you know, the third round is always my favorite one, because this is now talking, which is not the best one, but we're talking what the worst is. And we are talking what is the worst fully evolved steel type, which is not Welvedum Thrash. That was our window, that's just too bad. No one should have picked that and win instantly. So yeah, worst fully evolved steel type. And we start with Paul, we start with Dan. Let's hear out Frank. What is your choice?
Alright, my choice is Klinklang. Now, first of all, you may think Klinklang doesn't have that many bad stats. It can set up, it does have the shift gear move, right? All around you, in the beginning, you can think, wow, this mon can actually be of some use at least one match. But then you have, you take a look at its coverage, at his offensive options, and yeah, you can set up and you can sub, I guess, and be decently bulky subs. But your physical coverage with the only move that is worth setting up with this Pokemon, it's Shift Gear, and the coverage moves are just you do have Gear Grind, which is Steel type stab. That's all right, and then you look around and no, there's nothing. There's Wild Charge, fine, okay, and there's also Frustration, which is quite a bad option for a sweeper, I'd say, especially if it's not stab. So in the end, yes, it does have potential to do something at least one match, but even then, like, it's quite easily stuffed, I'd say. Any Pokemon that is able to phase around or just have a super effective hit on it, it just will end him. It's just atrocious. What can I say? It's just bad.
There we go. Klinklang, the bad mon. Like probably all in these rounds. So let's hear out Dan. What was your steel type of choice in this round?
Alright, so I decided to pick the worst of the worst steel types. There's no contest in my opinion. We have Bastiodon. I've never even seen Bastion be drafted, and if you did draft it, you probably lost every game, because this thing is terrible. Not only does this thing it really just makes the team smell really badly, but it has a glaring, and I mean glaring, weakness to fighting in ground. If you throw, even the tiniest of mud slaps at this thing, or just poke it with the tiniest of power-up punches, this thing is going to die. It's probably going to die. Its abilities are trash. It only has sturdy and soundproof. Soundproof is very, very specific. Unless you're facing X-Clouds, you're pretty much useless, and you die to a Focus Blast anyway, and sturdy is the only reason you're going to live one hit ever in the League format. So luckily for Bastiodon, it can at least manage to make it a second turn. And then when it makes it that second turn, the only thing it can do with that lovely base 30 base speed stat is potentially set up Stealth Rocks, which is just absolutely useful. And you might be able to roar out your opponent. So luckily, Bastiodon is going to make it those 2 turns and then just die. And that's probably a good thing, because that's about all it's going to do. Offensively, it's absolute trash. It has some different moves, but it can't really hit very hard with base 52 or base 47 attack stats. And again, it's going to move second every single time, and it dies to every single ground and fighting type move that gets thrown at it. Its abilities stink. It stinks. Don't use Bastiodon. It's the worst steel type ever.
There we go. Bastiodon, the stinky dinosaur. Let's go with Paul. What was your worst steel type in this round?
Well, Dan, you're talking about stinking, but I'm over here sitting here with the biggest schnoz in all of Pokemon. I chose Probopass, and Probopass is just bad. I actually considered drafting this thing once. I'm not going to lie, I was very new to the draft format at the time, and I'm like, I could look at Probopass and see what it does. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't have the ability to do much. Like, it can set up Stealth Rocks, you said. It's the same typing as Bastiodon with that Steel Rock typing. It's just terrible typing, gets destroyed by fighting and ground stab. It also has the same ability. And sturdy has some other abilities, has magnet pull and sand force, but are you really going to put this thing on a sand team? Most likely it's not your first priority when it comes to drafting a sand team. And magnet pull, I mean, it's good if you find the right steel type to trap, I guess, but most times you're not going to. Its attack stats are 55 and 75. Special attack those aren't great. 40 speeds, very, very worthless. It gets Volt Switch, which is the one other positive thing you can say about Probopass, is it can get you slow Volt Switch, I guess, which is cool, but it also just invites ground types, and you don't want to stay in on ground types because you die, because you're 4 times weak to ground. Its best rock stab is Ancient Power. That's just not good. It gets Flash Cannon, which I guess is okay. It's nice. It actually can hit a little bit because it has 75 special attack. It's not the worst special attack in the world. This thing just doesn't do a lot. It's mainly there just to get rocks up and Volt Switch, and that's really it. And outside of Tom with the Golden Jew back in the beginning of the GBA days, I've never seen it. Probably for good reason.
just to make sure again, Propass actually gets Power Gem. Just to
it does get Power Gem?
Yeah.
Oh.
Not to make it worse than it already is. It actually gets Power Gem.
But that doesn't get the boost, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Okay, any power is still better, of course. Next up, okay, let's start with FranC again. Why is Klinklang actually still worse than the other 2 mons just mentioned? Or why are the other 2 better?
I mean, I have to say it's quite hard, right? Because these 3 mons are definitely not good at all. I definitely do think that at least Probopass is definitely better than Klinklang, because at least you can find some kind of usefulness. The special attack is pretty alright with the stab moves it gets, and it can't get rocks. Klinklang doesn't even do that, and like Klinklang just fails to it tries to sweep and it only kills at least one thing, and that's pretty much what it does. And having so limited coverage options makes this one of the worst offensive Pokemons that you can see, honestly. And at least you can put Toxic on it to make it useful, or Thunder Wave, but Bastion and Probopass can do that and at least take hits better than this. Bastion at least can roar once. Not that I'm saying they're good, but at least they can do something once, and Klinklang can just try it and just probably fail. That's my thoughts on Klinklang. I just don't like it at all.
Okay, sad Klinklang trying everything every time it fails. Let's hear Bastiodon. Why is it worse than the other 2, or why is Probopass or Klinklang better than the Stinky Dinosaur?
Yeah, so, I mean, Klinklang at least has some sort of opportunity. You said it could set up and get 1 kill. Well, that's 1 more kill than Bastiodon's ever going to get in his career. So being able to go for Shift Gear and Gear Grind at least gives you something. And let's not forget that Klinklang does have some versatility. It's got a decent speed stat. It can use Volt Switch. Same with Probopass. Probopass actually is decent. This thing has Magnet Pull. It can actually serve as something that can trap other steel types. You can run Air Balloon to mitigate those weaknesses as well and serve as a solid pivot with Volt Switch. You can set up Stealth Rocks and potentially even live some hits, which is absolutely mind-blowing. But when you're talking about Bastiodon, you might as well just hand the win to your opponent. This thing is just really, really bad. Like you said, I mean, the best thing it's really going to do is get off a Roar. So if that's your strategy to win the match, then you might as well just kind of give it to your opponent. Again, I just think Bastiodon is... I know Bastiodon is straight trash, and I don't even know... There's just nothing else to say. The thing's terrible. Like, I could go on and on about how terrible its move pool is, how terrible its base stats are, how bad it is, but I think we've gotten that point. I personally think Klinklang is actually pretty sweet. Not only does this thing be able to set up with Shift Gear, which is actually a really good setup move, +1 attack, +2 speed, you're going to outspeed a lot of things. You don't even have to invest in its speed because you get the +2 speed and the 1 Shift Gear, giving it some opportunities to invest in that bulk stat. His HP, it's got great defense. And then again, Probopass, I think Magnet Pull really separates it, allowing it to trap steel types, giving it at least some sort of usefulness in the league format, especially when you're drafting and you look at your team and say, okay, I have a bit of a weakness to steel types. I can draft something late game or late rounds like Probopass, which can hopefully fill that kind of void and allow me to trap some steel types, or at least give my opponent something to think about when they're prepping. The only thing they're thinking about with Bastiodon is, okay, they're either not going to bring Bastiodon against me, or if they do, I'm going to automatically win. So with that said, I just feel that Bastiodon's trash.
Okay, there we go. Not only Stinky Trash is here as well, and let's hear what this Nose has to offer, or not to offer, better said, in this round. Why is Probopass worse than the other 2?
Well, I actually have examples to show for the other 2 why it can actually be good. I've actually used Bastiodon.
Oops.
Kill.
Nope.
So,
you lost your voice again. You can go again.
Oh.
You actually used it, and what did you do?
I actually used it, and in the first game I used it, I got a Metal Burst kill. So I actually have gotten a kill with Bastiodon in a draft format game. And on top of that, it actually did get drafted in the PPL as well back in Season 2. And the guy who finished second place, Onesie Bayonet, he had Bastiodon, and he actually used it more than twice, I believe, that season. And he used a set that was Block, Toxic, Protect, and it actually worked really, really well. It took down some walls, and it wore some things down, and it let his wall breakers then go and sweep later on. It was a really, really good mon for that use. Kling, that's also been on a team that made the championship, Dan. So that like both those mons are actually been on teams that have been successful. Both teams finishing second place in their respective lead, and they had those mons on the team. Now, I don't think Kling actually got used that entire season. Bastiodon did get used in the PPL that season. Probopass has no success. Probopass has had no success at all, and it was on, as I mentioned, it was on Tom's team back at the beginning of the GBA, and he was good, but it wasn't really because of Probopass at all, and he didn't get very far. He made like the first round of the playoffs and then lost. So Probopass has less of a history in draft format than the other two mons do, especially in the top leagues. They both have been on teams that have been successful. And as I mentioned, I have a kill with Bastiodon. So what does that say about me? I've gotten a kill with Bastiodon.
One whole kill.
Yeah, more than Probopass has ever gotten.
Okay, let us know in the comments if you gotten the kill with either one of these 3 mons. You will get a medal from all of us.
The seal of approval.
Yeah, the seal of approval. But okay, this was the second round. Now let's go into the last of the card here. The last thoughts, basically why your pick is trash, all the other ones are actually golden. Let us hear. Let's go, Frank, Kling, all the other 2. What do you gotta say?
Yeah, well, I do understand the point that Dan has made. Like, yeah, he has shift gear, but honestly, if this is the mon you draft for a sweeper, I don't think you're not doing well. You will not do well. Like, this shall never be your sweeper in any situation, because like they will expect you to bring the 3 moves it can get, which is steel, electric, and normal coverage, which is not too good. It's quite bad. If you got at least some sort of different coverage, I'd say fine, you know, you can do well, but the coverage is it's just bad. Setup move is alright, but the coverage is bad, so you won't get far with it. You get Vol Switch, yeah, Probopass also gets Vol Switch, Bastiodon doesn't, that's true. But at least Bastiodon has at least good defensive stats, so at least if you could put a balloon on it, at least you're protected from ground, I guess. And then the special move pool, it's also atrocious on Kling. I think the only good thing you can do with it that is at least cool, you can at least put, you know, the Zap Cannon move, and that's pretty much it. There's nothing you can do with it that's good. If you want to set up sweeper, you can choose anything that's not this, and it will do probably better than this.
There we go. Kling not being only worst field type, being the worst setup sweeper as well. Let's go with yeah, Bastiodon. Why is it still worse than the other 2, or why are the other one too good? Last chance. Why is this?
Yeah, I mean, Bastiodon's got just so much potential from a setup perspective. If you want to talk about Kling, you know, Bastiodon can really utilize that 30 base speed stat with the move Curse. That way, you'll take the hit, get knocked down to 30, and then you'll actually be even slower, and then you'll die on the next turn. So you might make your opponent think that you're going to set up on them. Let's also forget the fact that this thing. There's nothing else you could say. I was trying to come up with a good strategy for this thing, and the best I can come up with is using Protect over and over again and hope your opponent runs out of PP. I mean, that's really your best strategy. This thing can do nothing. If you ever draft it, I feel bad for you. If you've ever taken, if it's ever killed one of your Pokemon, I think you should just quit and try a different game. Maybe go to Yu-Gi-Oh! or Duelist or something else. Hit up Miguel. I don't know. There might be a better game for you if you've ever died to a Bastiodon. So, you know, ultimately at the end of the day, like, you know, my best suggestion is don't use this thing. It doesn't do anything. It dies. That's what it does. If there's one thing that this thing does better than anything else, especially when it comes to steel types, and that's die. That's die. So yeah, Bastiodon 2020 for president, you know?
There we go, Bastiodon. If you lose to it, just stop playing. Now we got Probopass, your last chance to trash that mon even more or raise the other mon to up.
Probopass also has all those, you know, setup options as well. So no. Because it can't hit hard enough physically at all. Like the thing with Probopass 2 is its best way of hitting coverage moves is on the physical side. It actually gets things like Fire Punch and Ice Punch, which are on the physical side with that massive base 55 attack stack. So then on the special side, it just doesn't get much at all, and it can't use that. It doesn't even get any. It doesn't even get Curse. It doesn't get Counter or Metal Burst like Bastiodon does. So you can't even try to take a hit and then kill something, you know, with that berry counter or berry metal burst. You can't even do that with Probopass. You don't have that option. On top of that, Bastiodon gets outraged. So, you know, that's a game changer. That's a game changer right there. You can get that unstabbed dragon coverage kill, and you basically win if you get that. So that's a huge game changer right there. It's something that Bastiodon could do that Probopass can't. There's a lot of stuff that Probopass cannot do that Bastiodon can do, actually. So that is why Probopass is the worst steel type. The worst of they both die quite well. They have similar defenses. But that's why Probopass is the worst of the worst.
Okay, Probopass being the worst of the worst, not having any unstepped dragon coverage, barring hidden power dragon, very sadly. But okay, these are all the 3 parts for this worst steel type round. We got Bastiodon, Probopass, and Klinklang. And now to decide who is the worst. First of all, I want to defend Probopass a bit more, because actually it has decent special coverage. Like it gets Dazzling Gleam, Thunderbolt, Earth Power. So I don't think it's quite right that it's best coverage on the physical side. For Bastiodon, yes, it has these weaknesses, but a very good defenses. And like I said, with Sturdy, Metal Burst is fairly easy to get at least 1 kill before it dies. And then Klinklang, yes, it has one of the best setup moves in the game in Shift Gear, so it's always a threat, even with its minor coverage. There's like maybe there's some team which someone drafted which is weak to normal electric steel coverage, because that's the thing. But yeah, these are these 3 steel types, all of them very bad, and I gotta say I'm very sorry, Dan, but I actually lost to a Bastiodon already in a match with Alex, so I think I have to
Oh, that's right, it was against you!
I have to
Lars, what's your new game of choice then?
I have to stop playing Pokemon now, so yeah, I retire. This is my official YouTube announcement. I'm gonna quit Pokemon and find something else. Be excited for that. But yeah, who is the worst of those? Probopass and Bastiodon, they can set up Stealth Rocks, Klinklang can't. Which is a very nice point. With Sturdy, Stealth Rock, you basically have a guaranteed rocks up. Maybe barring Taunt, of course. But doing that and seeing the history and potential these mons have, I gotta say that I think Klinklang is the worst of all of these steel types. I'm sorry, like, Klinklang, even with Shift Gear, with that coverage, like, normal steel, electric coverage. Normal and steel are both resisted by steel and rocks types, and electric doesn't hit those, so you only need a bulky with one of those types, and Klinklang doesn't do anything with you, barring Volt Switch out into something, but it even is a fast Volt Switcher, so the other one will get hit and not this thing, so that's pretty sad. But yeah, that's why I give this point to Frank and his Klinklang.
I just wanna say congratulations, but I drafted Klinklang in the GBA once. Just throwing that out there.
That's why I mentioned it.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned it.
How well did it do? How well did it do?
I don't think I ever brought it. I think I dropped it before.
I said that in my thing. I said that it I'll do it.
Yeah.
That's what it does best. That's what it does best, just leaving the team.
Yeah.
Hey, at least Klinklang got drafted once.
Oh, they've all been drafted. They just... Oh, man.
But okay, now we are in the unfortunate or fortunate situation, however to see it, that we got an overall tie between all 3 people. Dan, Paul, Frank, all managed to get 1 point in this round. So that means we are going into the speed round. And that means for all the people out there is that we have a 4th topic here, which all these people here never heard of. And yeah, we will basically just, I will basically announce that topic when there will be 30 seconds where these guys can just scream their pick into the mic. It's first come, first serve. And then we will have all these 3 parts we had before again, but each with only 30 seconds left. So basically 1 minute and 30 seconds to talk about your pick and defend it. Going into all of that, hoping that no one has any questions left, I will reveal the topic and start the timer right again. The topic for this Pincer Mania is: what is the best mon with the ability Regenerator in League format?
Slowbro.
Slowbro for
Reuniclus.
Reuniclus for Frank.
Tornadus T.
Tornadus T for Paul. Okay, let's go. Torn T. Okay, let's stop the timer and let's go again. First one to scream was Dan, so 30 seconds on Slowbro. Why is it so good?
Slowbro is just the most amazing physically defensive wall. It can be specially defensive as well. It's such a great team supporter. being able to take hits repeatedly, being able to switch out with that regenerator, healing it back up, having slack off as reliable recovery really allows Slowbro to stay in a match for quite a long time. Being able to get those scald burns, being able to have quite a bit of coverage too. Let's not forget this thing has just tremendous coverage with Fire Blast. It gets Shadow Ball and Psychic obviously for stab, so it can cover a lot of different spectrums with that. It's also a great supporter. Thunder Wave, and that's it.
No. Thunder Wave doesn't count anymore. Let's go, Frank. Reuniclus. Why is it good?
Alright, Reuniclus, just the best regenerator mon, I'd say. It gets also another good ability in Magic Guard. Best Calm Minder pretty much you can find in the bulk department. And the coverage this thing has can hit pretty much every team you want after setting up one Calm Mind. And it definitely is easy to set up Calm Mind. You have Recover as well, so it's one of the best setup sweepers, slow setup sweepers, and it can actually also gives you nice opportunities with Trick Room late game. So in the end, this Pokemon...
Over. Let's go,
it's
Paul.
good.
30 seconds for AC.
In the end, it's good.
Today's Tyrion, Paul, do we not see you anymore?
Oh, hi, I'm here.
There we go, 30 seconds.
Okay, the thing with Tornado Therian is it's an offensive regenerator mon that uses it very well. It has that 121 speed stat that allows it to U-turn as well and be able to get that health back that it needs to. It also has ridiculous amounts of coverage, gets things like Sludge Wave, like Iron Tail, and also Hurricane just hits like an absolute truck if it actually hits. Obviously, you know, it can be inaccurate at times, but it's just a massive flying stab. We talked about how important flying stab was earlier on. It also gets coverage moves like Grass Nuts like that. It also can set up with Bulk Up. It's a fantastic Assault Vest user. It has great bulk.
Then, let's start for Slowbro. Why is it better than the other two?
Slowbro's huge move pool really allows it to stand out. The fact that it does have so much bulk, it's bulkier than the other two. Reuniclus is bulky, but Slowbro is really bulky. And again, its ability to be a supporter to have the ability to really benefit from things like Thunder Wave and Toxic, potential Scald Burns. The reliable recovery is very important. The fact that it does have the ability to use Slack Off, and it's just got great defensive prowess from both sides, physically defensive and specially defensive. Can be offensive as well, and can be a really good Calm Mind sweeper.
And 30 seconds gone.
In addition,
Reuniclus, why is it better than Tornadus and Slowbro?
It's definitely better than Slowbro because I think it does have better coverage in my opinion for me, and it just takes special hits better than Slowbro. And it's an excellent good Assault Vest Pokemon that with a Regenerator, which is the subject we're talking about, is the best item to go with. So one of the best Calm Minders or Assault Vest Pokemon you can find all around, and in the end I think it will be always useful and a pain to take down for any opposing coaches you're facing. So basically,
let's go with Tornadus D. Why is it better than the other two?
It just hits so hard on both sides. It has coverage everything. Anything coming on Flying Stab, it gets coverage to hit it. The Steel types, you can go and use Wave, or you can use Superpower or Focus Blast as well. Get Psychic for coverage as well, which is great. And it's just so good. There's very little that switches into this thing, and it can also just tank some hits. You can go and run it bulky without having to run much attack. You can go and U-turn Speedy Bulk. I know Kelly ran it a lot in PPL. It's a very good mod. Just getting in, getting out, and then being that big nuke that you have trouble dealing with, which you can do better than the other two.
Let's go with the last round of talking. Dan, Slowbro, last thoughts on that guy.
It's really awesome. It's got a lot of bulk. Again, can't emphasize that enough. Calm Mind has the ability to iron defense and just make this thing incredibly tanky and just take hits for days. And again, it can be Trick Room. It can do so many things. And you did mention that Reuniclus had better coverage options, but really Slowbro pretty much covers everything that Reuniclus covers in terms of offensive options. So, and you don't have to worry about missing your Hurricanes.
There we go, Slowbro. Next go with Reuniclus. Last thoughts on that or the other two?
Alright, I'd say that Reuniclus has better options at sweeping late game as well with the Trick Room advantage, and of course Tornadus Tyrion is very fast and it does very well what it does. I really like Tornadus as well, but I think Reuniclus is always way more of a pain for the opponent to take down if you don't have like a powerful dark move or like any like strong moves or setup. It's going to be impossible to take this down, especially with the Generator.
Last 30 seconds of this round. Let's go to Tyrion and the other two. Paul, let's hear you out.
Well, you mentioned the trick room effect that the other two both have, but this thing doesn't need to take a turn to get that speed, be faster than everything. It's just faster than everything anyway. Well, the other two have to take a turn and take a hit, and and sometimes, I mean, if you get the right mon, they won't take a hit, or if they do take a hit, they don't take it very well, and they're not healthy enough to be able to actually sweep. Tornadus Tyrion can go and just sweep late game if you need to. You can go and take those hits that I've already mentioned. and this thing just does really, really well. Slowbro, I don't even think is the better of the two slows. I think Slow King is even better than that. And Reuniclus can be good, yes, but can also be dealt with by the fact that it can't really cover...
Okay, these are the speed round. Very speedy, not much to talk about. Let's sum up the main arguments. Tornado Steed is speedy and has great coverage and is strong. Reuniclus, Trick Room Sweeper, can do the same as Slowbro, just a bit better with a good ability. And Slowbro is bulky. That's like the most I got out of that argument. Slowbro is very bulky, has good coverage, and can Toxic and Thunderwave stuff. Yeah, out of these three, I think the best arguments made out of these rounds. I think Reuniclus does indeed kind of the same that Slowbro, barring the Scald Burning part, and it does it better. But better than Reuniclus even is, I think, Tornado Asterion, so I will give this point to Paul. Like I said, Tornado Asterion is, without a doubt, I think most can agree, the best out of these three mons. But because it's a speedrun, of course, not everyone else can get to that. So yeah, the champion of this Pincer Mania on my channel is none other than PaullyMac. Congrats for that to you.
Woo! Yay, I'm good at something. Yes.
There we go.
Can I just put Toxapex in there though? Can I pick Toxapex?
You could have picked Toxapex, yeah.
I was gonna say at the very end that Tornado Steed won you a World Cup, but
yeah, it won't be the World Cup, so that's something as well. But okay, great thanks to all three of you, of course, for joining me on this. It was, of course, a great pleasure having you here as a guest. And yeah, definitely, to all the people listening or watching right out there, definitely check out all the channels of these three people. All the links will, of course, be in the description. So yeah, you already know that these guys know their stuff in League format, so they know the stuff in Pokemon in general. So yeah, if you want more of that, definitely check out their channels. And yeah, that's basically all from me. Any last words from you?
Thanks for having me.
It was a pleasure to be here.
There we go, everyone talking together. I like that.
We're so good at this.
Okay, this is all from me. I will see you another time. Ciao.
Bye.